Hey friends and neighbors, this is Chuck out at Sheraton Park Farms. Welcome back to the farm. So something we don't spend a whole lot of time talking about, well, a little bit, but not much, is egg chickens. So we'll talk a little bit about chickens today. We'll talk a little bit about eggs. We're going to cover some basics, just some basic questions related to raising egg chickens and what you need. We're going to talk about a little bit how eggs play into our farm business, and just look at some chickens. So hang around. So before we get into talking specifics about chickens, I want to encourage y'all, if you're interested in chickens or you're interested in any kind of farming enterprise, man, I encourage you to go for it. The only way that you're going to figure it out is to just do it. I appreciate everybody watching the videos, and when we got started, that's what I done. We watched every chicken video. Of course, at the time we were just interested in chickens. We watched every chicken video we could find. But until you get a couple of birds and just go for it, man, you're not gonna get the experience that you need. Chickens are not difficult. People have been raising chickens for thousands of years. There's no reason why in today's society, with all the information we've got access to, anybody can do it. So if you're interested in chickens, get you some. All right, so just some basics on egg chickens. So all of these, minus a couple, there's a rooster in here, there's a couple of young males. The majority of these birds are pullets, and a pullet is a female chicken that's less than a year old. So if you're going to your local Tractor Supply, Rural King, feed and seed store, wherever you're buying your chickens from, if you're buying them from, you know, a hatchery through the mail, you want egg laying chickens, make sure you get pullets. Again, pullets are female chickens. Those are the ones that's going to give you the eggs. Roosters, we'll talk about roosters here in just a few minutes, and do you need a rooster, and if so, how many? We'll talk about roosters in a little bit, but you want to get pullets. So all of these girls out here are right now about 12 weeks old. It typically takes about 16 to 20 weeks for a pullet to start laying eggs. So these girls have got, on average, about another month to go before we can start seeing some eggs from them. And then it's going to be slow. They're going to slowly ramp up, and they'll start laying over time. These birds are, again, they're out in our garden. We've got them here for a very specific purpose. They're digging the ground up, scratching it up, putting down some manure. We're getting this area ready for our garden later on. But chickens are going to tear up the ground if they're in an enclosed area. And you can see here, the majority of the space, or where these chickens are spending the majority of their time, right in front of their tractors. They're coming in and out. That's where they're spending a lot of time. You can see they tear up the ground pretty good. So if you're going to keep chickens in a run, which is a fixed coop with an area that they can go in and out of, you're going to need to make sure that you've got some kind of bedding or some kind of material to put down. Inside these tractors, we're using wood chips. We refill the wood chips every couple of days. Looks like they're about ready for some more. And we've also been scattering some cracked corn in here. That will give them the encouragement to dig and scratch and kind of stir all that stuff up, and gives us a little more life out of those wood chips. So that's a little trick that you can apply. Put down some cracked corn or some seeds or something that will encourage the chickens to scratch and fluff that bedding material up. And in addition to that, we also keep these feeders out here, and they make a terrible mess. But we do supply them with a little supplemental feed. This is just a layer pellet that we get from Bartlett Milling. I think it's a 20% layer pellet. We keep those just in some free choice feeders out here, and they kind of come and go and get as much as they want. Finally, on water, for these girls, we use a bell waterer, and these things work really nice. They hook up to a bucket in the back, got a plastic hose that comes down. These work kind of like a reverse toilet valve. Whenever the chickens drink the water, the bell will float upward and opens the valve and allows water to run down into the trough, and then as they drink it, lightens up and just kind of keeps itself full. So these work great for these birds to have plenty of fresh water. So once you get your chickens up to egg laying age, and again, that's after typically about 18, 16, 18, 20 weeks, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on the breed. These are what our adult egg chickens look like. And there are two ways to manage your egg chickens. One is in a portable type system where their coop or their housing unit moves around from place to place and the chickens go with it, which is the system that we elect to use here. Or you can use a static system where the chickens have a coop that's in a single place, it stays in a single place, and then they've got a run that they can kind of come in and go out of. We elect to do this because we want to spread their manure around different parts of the farm. So these are our adult chickens. So a common question around raising chickens is, do you need roosters to have eggs? Do you need some of these guys here if you want to have chicken eggs? And the answer is no. You don't need a rooster in order to have chicken eggs. Hens are going to naturally lay an egg about every 25 hours. So you're going to get about an egg per day during the season whenever chickens are laying very, very regularly, spring, summer, and fall. You'll notice a drop off in egg production in the wintertime whenever we have fewer hours of daylight, which is why we've got an artificial light in our coop to help stimulate some egg production. But if you are going to keep roosters, and roosters are very important, roosters are actually handy to have around. They provide protection for the flock, and also roosters will help to find a food source and will alert the rest of the chickens that they found a food source whenever they are out foraging around. If you are going to keep roosters, you need to keep your rooster numbers at a manageable level. Typically, one rooster for every 8 to 10 hens is plenty. If you have more roosters than that, you're going to have a lot of competition between these guys, and they're also going to be kind of hard on your hens. You'll start to notice that their saddle feathers, the feathers across their back, start wearing down. They're going to have a lot of comb issues where the roosters are grabbing hold of their comb during mating. So if you're going to keep roosters with your hens, which we recommend, one rooster per 8 to 10 hens. If you are going to keep roosters around, you will have fertilized eggs. So that's another added benefit. If you want to buy an incubator, hatch some of your own chicks, that's a great way to hatch some of your own chicks by keeping a rooster around and then putting those things in an incubator and seeing what you get. And sometimes we've got some pretty cool combinations. This guy right here, we hatched him out last year. He was a cross between an Americana and something. Don't know what else he was, but he's turned out to be a really pretty bird. So you can get some real interesting combinations on your chickens if you're keeping roosters and hens of different breeds. Another common question is, how many nesting boxes do you need for your chickens? General rule of thumb is you're going to need one nesting box for about every 4 to 5 chickens. I think we've got about 22 nesting boxes in here. And even whenever we've had 120 or 150 chickens, they typically will only use about half of them. Chickens tend to go in and lay an egg where there are other eggs already at. So chickens will tend to share nest boxes. So you don't need a nest box for every chicken you got, but you do need a nest box for about every 4 or 5 birds. And these are commercial prefab nest boxes. They're old nest boxes that were on the farm whenever we first came, and I think we actually bought another one of these. But these are just old galvanized nesting boxes. The floors on them lift up. They've just got a little piece of plywood down in the bottom, so the floors lift up and out of them, so you can replace those as need be. But these things work really, really nice for your chickens. Nest boxes don't have to be anything fancy. I've seen folks use buckets for nest boxes, milk crates, just cardboard boxes. I've seen a lot of different things used for nest boxes. The chicken just needs someplace that she can get up in, feel like she's got a little bit of privacy, a soft area where she can lay her eggs, and you're awful loud, and that tends to work out just right. So a couple things your chickens are going to need in addition to a safe, secure house is they're going to need access to fresh, clean water. And the way we water our chickens is we just use a simple rubber bowl with a garden hose and a float valve. Hook this up to our main water source up at the well. Water comes down, and as the chickens drink out of that thing, the float valve opens up and allows the water to refill. So it's basically an automatic chicken watering system. We've got it sitting out here in the field where the chickens are at, so they've always got access to it. They can come over and get water anytime they want. Another thing you're going to need to make sure is that you got some feed for your chickens. And one thing we've noticed, again, these birds free range. They're out here on the pasture. They come and go as they please wherever they want. That does create a little bit of problem with predators. But these chickens are all going to be going away later on this year anyway, because some of them are 3 years old. Egg production's starting to go down, so it's time for these guys to go away. But we're going to need to have some feed for them. We've noticed on a free range system that they don't eat quite as much as they do if we keep them inside a netting. So the feed system that we use, we've got 2 bulk feeders just inside the door of the chicken coop. Each one of these will hold about 50 pounds of feed. We fill these things up now about twice a week maybe. So they're going through about 100 pounds of feed twice a week. Works out fine. They just come in. This is a gravity feeder. They just get what they want out of the bottom, and then the feed just continues to fall down, and they just eat right there. Got these from Duncan's Poultry. Just got them, fastened to the wall. They work really good. So let's talk a little bit about eggs and how they integrate into your overall farming enterprise if you're selling your products to customers. We've ran it a number of different ways with different feeding regimens, different numbers of chickens. We've plugged all the variables in a lot of different ways, and we found it really difficult to be able to make a lot of profit on just selling eggs. But eggs can be profitable for your farm in other ways. First off, keeping those chickens, they're fantastic animals. They're great kitchen recyclers. They're great for bug control like ticks, fleas, that kind of stuff. I mean, they love those little creepy crawlies and do a great job eating them. Their manure is fantastic. Spreading those chickens around, getting them to poop on your different parts of your fields can really help boost your grass and your grass growth. And then finally, the eggs that they do lay are a great gateway product for your customers. Buying a dozen eggs from a customer that's never seen you, never met you, don't know anything about you, is a great way to start a conversation with a potential customer. Eggs are a fairly innocuous product. They're easy to buy. Everybody knows what to do with them. And they're relatively inexpensive. We sell our eggs for $5 a dozen. That's what we sell them for, and we can't keep them. We've built a good egg business. But again, where the eggs are valuable to you is if a customer can come in, buy a dozen eggs, and try those, then that gets them to spending a little bit of money with you. Now they go home, they try those eggs, they see the high quality that you're producing in terms of a much richer yolk, an egg that's got a lot of flavor. It's not flat like a old store-bought egg's going to be. It's a great product to introduce them to what you're doing. So they come back the next week. They want another dozen eggs, and this time maybe they want a pack of bacon to go with it. So now they've tried your eggs and they've tried a pork product. Well, they like the pork. So maybe next week they come back, they buy the bacon, they buy maybe some sausage this time, and they want to try a pack of chicken breast. So eggs are a great way to get customers introduced to your farm, buying some of your product, seeing the quality that you've got, and just starting to build that relationship, which is what this kind of farming is all about, is that one-on-one relationship with your customers. So if you're looking for a cool little enterprise to start this year, or you just want to raise your own food and have a good source of eggs, can't beat this crowd right here. They're fantastic kitchen recyclers, bug control, fertilizer spreaders. They give you some great eggs in exchange. And if you're growing your farm, these guys are fantastic to help get some business through the door and get customers used to purchasing from you. So I'll post a link to a couple other videos over here, some other stuff we got going on. If you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of stuff going on. Spring's coming fast. Appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks.